Everything that we see around us represents art in some form or the other. The blue sky, the green grass, silky waves of the Brahmaputra, smooth, soothing breeze, the floating, fluffy clouds, everything is an incredible work of art. Thus, an artist is a man of immense responsibility. He has to have incredible talent and imagination to capture all the beauty around us into his canvas. And women since time immemorable has been an inspiration for the artist. Today, we focus on the paintings of Asudev, who has depicted women in various forms, moods and colors. Born in Dhuburi in 1917, 13th of December, he started his career as a painter in his ancestral home in Newfield, Guwahati. However, it was not all spoon-fed. He had to do a lot of research work. He studied the daily occupations, the rustic life of the people of the plains and the hills. During his lifetime, he managed to hold 9 one-man shows and 13 group exhibitions. Though we do not have him with us anymore, we have his son, Mr. Asudev, who himself is a very accomplished painter and a photographer. Welcome, sir. It's an honor to have you here with us.
It's a privilege for me.
So you have graduated from the MS University of Baroda in Fine Arts,
Yes.
but recently you have shifted your field from painting and photography to computer-related projects. Why is it so?
Actually, since I'm working in Kendriya Vidyalaya as an art teacher, we have a tie-up with Oracle Education Foundation, and we have a project, Think.com. And I've been associated with that project for the last about 3-4 years. And I've been working on the educational website. And since that has become one of the places where I can express myself, my creativity, I have actually not shifted to away from painting or photography, which has been my education in Baroda. But I have taken up ICT, working in this educational website, just as a medium of expression. And I've been doing it for a lot of time.
And all this took you to Rome and Singapore, and you're the only person from India to be selected for Rome. How was your experience?
Yes, actually it all happened while working on that educational website, Think.com. And suddenly I got an invitation from one of the schools in Rome. And they wanted a teacher for a multicultural project based on Think.com. And that way they have invited me. And it was in the month of December last year that I had been to Rome to showcase the work on Think.com and my personal work on art and culture of India.
How was your experience there? Do you feel any
wonderful.
Difference in professional
Yes, the educational setup in Italy and the setup in India has got vast difference.
differences?
The one thing that I like to put in is that the schools in Rome, they have minimum students, and infrastructure-wise, they are much better than that we have in India. They have a maximum student of around 20 in a class, and we have more than 50. We have more than 50. So this is one of the difference in the school setup in Italy and India. Other than that, the teachers are wonderful. The school atmosphere is good, and they have all the infrastructure benefits that we don't have at this moment.
Is there any generation gap between the way your father depicted women on his canvas and the way the present-day artists treat the same subject?
See, women has been depicted in paintings or any kind of creative activity for time immemorial.
Exactly.
There have been old masters working on women, and you have very few women artists who also depict women as a subject. So it's nothing so new about it. But the difference in the subject of my father's painting were that woman was depicted as a part of nature, and he had, culminated the actual physical woman with the nature of Northeast. So even in his landscape, if we minutely observe the paintings, we find that the paintings have women as a subject hidden in the nature, in the natural surroundings. If it's a waterfall, you have a woman in some area. Even if it's a landscape, you still have a woman. So The difference is, well, the paintings of my father had very realistic approach, and the modern paintings where woman is depicted, the subject has changed a lot. It has gone through a lot of transition, and today's woman depicted in the modern paintings are entirely different than the ones depicted in the paintings of my father.
Did he follow any particular school of painting?
Well, actually, he is a painter of the 20th century. And at that time, you have either the Bengal School of Art or the Baroda School of Art. But then, going through his painting, you find most of the influence that he had is from both of the arts. He more of Bengal School of Art. He used very natural, earthly colors, but his subject was very modern, something which he had thought. Most of the paintings were, very, very realistic, something which is something like we like to see the paintings of Van Gogh or Sura. So those paintings where you have nothing much that the artist has to explain, but then the viewer can, even the very layman can go through his painting, have it, look at it and really enjoy. So that's the kind of painting that he used to do. Even today, the paintings, they show that it has been done very freshly.
Did he absorb a lot from international artists like Van Gogh?
Well, actually, it's a debatable thing. But then the time when he was actually working, at that time we hardly had any kind of, international media in form of books or some sort of plates or something coming to India. So in that way, I don't think he had really much influence of the Western world. But then, since he was working in isolation, he was working all alone, and well, it is what we nowadays, try to relate his painting with some of the paintings of the Western. The European style. I don't think so. I don't think so that he had taken much, he had borrowed anything from the Western art. But we find a similarity, and it happens when a painter of two generations of working in two different places, they have this kind of similarity. But it's not necessary that he has gone through some of the prints or the monographs or something from artists. I don't think so.
Okay. A layman observation of your father's painting reveals to us that he used a very selected range of colors. Why was it so?
No, because at that time the availability of colors was very scarce. He had a good friend of who used to come to Guwahati about once in a year or in a couple of years, and he used to bring some paints with him, and that would actually be only the source of colors that he had. Because Guwahati, as you know, you don't have that much market where you have a lot of variety of colors even today.
Yeah.
So at that time he had a very limited number of color, and I remember I was a small boy that time. I was just to see the minimum utility of color and maximum work done of that. So most of his paintings had a limited range of color because of the availability of the color.
Did you ever have to wait for the colors to come?
Yes. Not only for the color, even for the canvas. He had a couple of good friends, who used to come, who used to visit abroad, and whenever he happened to know that one of his friends was going, he used to say, "Okay, when you come back, bring some colors for me." And even today, the colors that you see, the remaining colors that we have, you have color from Bellini and even the old camel colors. Those colors are the ones that he purchased, sometimes very expensive colors, and his friends were the best people who used to give him the colors. So he had a limited range.
And we see that he often focused on the rustic life, on the tribal women from different parts of the Northeast.
Yes. The reason is this subject during his time, it was available all around him. He didn't have to go and look for the subjects. You had the Boro culture, the Kachari, the fishing woman, the tea states and everything coming very close to him. Nature was very much close to him at that time. and which is absent today. Today, if you want to see the tribal life, you have to go kilometers into the jungles and see tribal life. That is the part of modernization. You can't help it. So, and he had kept his focus mainly on the working woman, the woman going to the field, the paddy field, going to fishing, the community fishing that the Boros or the Kacharis have. They and the tree tribes, and only those the Khasis, the Jaintiyas, the Naga. So these tribes were the main subject in his paintings because he was mingling with them.
Asudev's work can be divided into three: paintings, sketches, and textile designs. There is no blending of the color in the usual way. He rather preferred to achieve bold and clear-cut outlines. The colors used were also very limited, being red, blue, and yellow ochre. One can hardly distinguish between his oil and watercolors. He often depicted the daily occupations and emotions of people of the hills and plains, thus forming a sympathetic union between the humans and nature. Asudev's ancestral house in Newfields, Guwahati, where he started his painting career. Silence echoes on the easel that he himself carved out. It still shines by the touch of bygone days where color turned into life. What do you think of Asudev being a male personality yet developing so much interest for women as a subject for his painting?
Actually, what happens, it is not question of male or female. Most of the artists always tries to depict women as a love, as a creation, as a nature. So, most naturally, an artist, being a male, tries to depict the female as it attracts him much. Thing is that while in painting, the depict the women, always try to give me something like to follow the nature, to see the nature, to creation. Everything comes through an woman. That's why the Asudev always tries to depict the painting the woman in his form. The woman form itself depicts the nature, creation, and his zeal of creations. That's the thing only.
And which aspect of women do you think got preference in his work?
Most of the women, as we see in his painting, is from village life. Like Southampton family, like tribals, and mostly in the tribals form. And he was attracted to the body language of the tribals, of the volume, the strength and purity of the life, of having in their appearances. So he was very much attracted with their stout body and beautiful face.
And he loved and respected women, no? Because for him, woman is a symbol of softness, beauty, and boldness at a time. And probably these things fascinated him.
He mostly portrayed the rustic tribal women rather than the very well-dressed urban ladies. Why do you think it was so?
Because it is our northeast region is a very rich in folk cultures. No, it is a, you can say it is a like a flower garden, no, of different ethnic groups, different tribal. They are very colorful, and these things probably attracted him very much. For example, a fishing woman, a tea walker, and sweeper, all these things for a layman nothing, but for him it was a special. For him it was a special because he always saw all these things with his artistic lens.
শিল্পী হিচাপে তেওঁ নাৰীক শ্ৰদ্ধা কৰিছিল, ৰেছপেক্ট কৰিছিল, আকৰ্ষিত আছিল। আৰু অকল আশুদেৱে নহয়, মই ভাবোঁ সকলো শিল্পীকে নাৰী আৰু প্ৰকৃতি আকৰ্ষণ কৰে। আৰু যিহেতু আশুদেৱ এজন প্ৰকৃত শিল্পী আছিলে, তেওঁ নাৰী আকৰ্ষণ কৰিছিলে, নাৰীৰ প্ৰতি তেওঁৰ শ্ৰদ্ধা আছিলে, তেওঁলোকক বুজিবলৈ চেষ্টা কৰিছিলে, সহমৰ্মিতা আছিলে তেওঁলোকৰ প্ৰতি।
And which aspect of women do you think he gave the most preference?
তেওঁ বিশেষকৈ নাৰীৰ যিটো পৰিশ্ৰমী ছবি, পৰিশ্ৰমৰ ছবি, সেইটোৰ প্ৰতি তেওঁ বেছি আকৰ্ষিত আছিলে। পৰিশ্ৰমী মহিলাসকলৰ, বিশেষকৈ তলখাপৰ মহিলাসকলৰ, যেনে জাৰুদাৰ মহিলা, পথাৰত ভুই ৰুই থকা মহিলা, মাছ ধৰা মহিলাৰ ছবি, বা পিঠি ধুৰালৈ নামি অহা এজাক মহিলাৰ ছবি, মুঠতে চব পৰিশ্ৰমী মহিলাৰ প্ৰতি তেওঁৰ এটা শ্ৰদ্ধা আছিলে, অন্তৰৰ পৰা শ্ৰদ্ধা আছিলে। আৰু তেওঁলোকক তুলি ধৰিবৰ কাৰণে তেওঁ যত্ন কৰিছিলে। তেওঁলোকৰ পৰিশ্ৰমক, তেওঁলোকৰ ত্যাগক তেওঁ তুলি ধৰিবলৈ যত্ন কৰিছিলে। সেইকাৰণে তেওঁ নাৰীৰ এই পৰিশ্ৰমী দিশটোৰ প্ৰতি তেওঁৰ এটা লক্ষ্য আছিল বিশেষ। তাৰ লগতে তেওঁৰ যে সুঠাম আকৃতিৰ মহিলাৰ প্ৰতি তেওঁৰ এটা আকৰ্ষণ আছিলে।
Do you think he was successful in establishing the role of women in society?
Successful in sense, naturally he tried his from a tradition. I told you that from the traditional one to modern form, he's got that transformation during the 50s or 60s. The scenario of the culture, scenario of art was is coming through this. So traditional Bengal art was there, and he was trying from Bengal art form. Then he came out from it. He chose his life to come open, and he depicted his own style of painting. So he was very much successful in that sense.
Yes, he was very successful because his painting was very colorful and very natural and depicts the figure very nicely. And also all the paintings, the general people, the laymen also able to understand the concept of his painting, and this also lead the viewer to the scenario of the originality of the paintings. That way he was very successful, and it is for the mass. We can say his painting was for the mass.
এইটো তেওঁ কিমান ছাকচেছফুল হৈছে তাৰ আগতে মই কৈ লওঁ, আশুদেৱে যেতিয়া ছবি আঁকিছিল সেয়া 40 বছৰ আগৰ কথা। 40 বছৰ আগতে সমাজত মহিলাৰ স্থান কি আছিলে সেইটো এটা বিচাৰ্য বিষয়, কিন্তু তেওঁ সেই সময়তে তেওঁলোকক লক্ষ্য কৰিছিলে, মহিলাক এটা তেওঁ স্থান দিছিলে সমাজত, তেওঁলোকক শ্ৰদ্ধা কৰিছিলে। সেইকাৰণে তেওঁলোকৰ পৰিশ্ৰম, যে তেওঁলোকৰ ত্যাগ, তেওঁলোকে যে কি কৰি আছে সেই দিশটো তুলি ধৰিবৰ কাৰণে তেওঁ যত্ন কৰিছিলে। তেওঁলোকৰ সৌন্দৰ্যখিনি, তেওঁলোকৰ পৰিশ্ৰমখিনি তেওঁ তুলি ধৰিবলৈ যত্ন কৰিছিলে, তেওঁলোকৰ ছবি আঁকিছিলে। আৰু এই বিষয়টোৱে মই ভাবোঁ সেই সময়ত বহুতকে ভাবিবলৈ বাধ্য কৰাইছিল যে মহিলাৰ স্থান কেনেকুৱা সমাজত, সেইটো বিষয় সেই হিচাপে তেওঁ ছাকচেছফুল মই ভাবোঁ।
Asudev's talent lent itself in diverse directions. He was not only a very accomplished painter, but also a very meticulous sculptor.
And the influence of women, the biggest influence of women was my mother. Actually, many people don't know about it. She was the first batch of art student from Kala Bhavan Shantiniketan. She was one of the direct students of Nandalal Bose, Ram Kinkar. and she was also a student, the first batch of Sangeet Bhavan, early 50s, early 50s, and she had been one of the biggest source of inspiration for my father. Not only that, many people don't know that she had left painting or even singing because she wanted my father continue this. And today, whatever we have is only because of the sacrifice that my mother had done. And she had been one of the when you talk about role of a woman, I think my mother also has a very big role in it.
These are his last two paintings, which unfortunately could not be completed, and he mingled in the air to let the world realize his creations unfinished for another generation.
The volume, the bold strokes, the bright colors. Yes, he was fascinated by women, and it blossomed all over his canvas. Though he left for his heavenly abode on the 6th of February 1983, his paintings still carry on his flavor and fragrance in flesh and blood, and the women on his canvas shines with pride.